Hello, my friends. What is going on? I am live with you. Today, I actually have makeup on. Look at that. I record a podcast. I'm on a podcast that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It is Won't You Be My Neighbor? It is filmed here in Las Vegas. It's actually a live podcast I go into a studio and everything. So I record that. And the co-host canceled. So I got all dressed up already, put makeup on, which I don't wear foundation at all. It's something I don't enjoy doing at all. But I got all dressed up and I have no place to go. So I have to show you my outfit since I was all dressed up. Look at, I'm trying to do like 1990s, little Clueless look, anyways. So enough about that. Let's talk about herpes, and it's our favorite subject, I know. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, guys. If you are brand new and you're like, what is this girl doing who thinks that she is dressing like Clueless and showing me my makeup, what does it have to do with herpes? Absolutely nothing. Anyways, my name's Alexandra. I was diagnosed with HSV-1 in 2003 and HSV-2 in 2011. So I have been dealing with herpes for over 2 decades. That makes me feel very old. Very old. Anyways, yes. So I created Life with Herpes in 2017. I realized that there was such a need for people who have been diagnosed with herpes. When I was diagnosed in 2011, I was alone, I was isolated, I was scared, I was nervous, I was frozen, I was not looking cute like this from Clueless. I was binge eating, I was all sorts of things, which just led up to my herpes diagnosis. All sorts of things were tumbling down upon me in my late 20s. So I'm actually very glad that this turned me around. Now, I know we're going to listen to this and be like, oh, yeah, right. Like, I'm so glad it turned you around. No, I really am. I was just recording another podcast yesterday with Lyndsay Ellen. Where did I put her book? Lyndsay Ellen, The Shame Game. And if you have not read it, heard of it, you guys should absolutely check it out. She talks about her herpes diagnosis in here. My copy is signed, so look at that. Yeah, it's a great book. It talks all about, in fact, you know what? I'm going to link it in my bio for you guys to read. She talks about her herpes diagnosis, and we both talked about on the podcast that we recorded about how we are very glad that being diagnosed with herpes absolutely changed us and changed us for the good. And it introduced us to a new version of ourselves that we were so desperately looking to find. Okay, so enough about that. If you are new, then you know that I answer the questions in the order in which they are received. I get hundreds of questions on my lives, and so I do my best to go through them. Sometimes the app will censor them because they say like, oh, we're just going to protect the community, whatever. So make sure you keep it rated G. It needs to be rated G. Do your best to keep it rated G. And let me start looking at all the questions. Guys, if you have someone that you know needs to hear this information, please share it with them. Like I said, I am just a one-man band trying to get this information out and support people so that they don't feel so alone and terrified. Someone's saying, I really need to hear this. Okay, I'm glad that you're here, okay? I'm really glad that you're here. Do I know who gave it to me? I do. Now, that's a good question because I always talk about how we don't know who gave us herpes. So for us to go point out and be mean to someone or assume or things like that, it's very difficult to know who gave us herpes. However, and here's why. Number one, we're not getting tested for herpes. We may be going and getting STI tested, which includes like chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis. I don't know if it includes syphilis. It includes usually HIV, but it's not including herpes. So most people are not getting tested for herpes. Number one. Number two, 90% of the people living with genital herpes will never be diagnosed. So people don't know they have it. So what does that mean? If people are not being tested and all of a sudden they show up with symptoms, this herpes virus could have been living in our system for months, weeks, months, years, decades, okay? So it could have been there forever and ever and ever. So if you go get tested and you have antibodies for it, you're like, this is my first outbreak and I have antibodies, OMG, it means that you probably have had it for a while. If you go get tested and there's no antibodies and you have an outbreak, then it means that it's probably brand new in your system. But if you've had multiple partners in that time period, you're not going to know where it came from, right? Because there's no way to say like, oh, you got this on March 27th. Like there's just no way to be able to do that. So in my case, how do I know where it came from? So HSV1, I know because I was on a date and my date had a cold sore and he kissed me with a cold sore and I got an outbreak like 5 days later. So duh, like obviously, like there was active cold sore. I knew where that came from. Genitally, I knew where that came from because I was tested for herpes before we were intimate, and my results, my antibody results were negative. And then when I went in 6 weeks later with an outbreak and they tested me and my results were still negative, right? So, and then my partner ended up testing positive for it as well with antibodies. So it means that he had it for a while and it was new in my system. So I know where it came from, but most people are not going to know where it came from. Unless, again, you have been getting tested regularly or you have been celibate and you've been tested and you're like, okay, so clearly I know, right? Or if you've been monogamous with one partner for a long time, you can probably say, oh, that's where it came from. It came from my marriage, right? But like I have a woman that I talked to in her 80s and she ended up getting her first outbreak down there. And she's like, I don't understand how this is happening. I'm in my 80s. My husband's been deceased. I've been a widow for 15 years. How did this happen? And I'm like, you picked it up somewhere along in your marriage. Like either your husband knew or didn't know, but you picked it up in your marriage. So anyways, have I ever looked into the inoculations for it? So I have not. There's a lot of people talking about it, and I have not, for the reasons that it's really above my, I have no control over a vaccine. I have no control whether something's going to come out or not come out. I am a true believer in us not looking for something to save us, not looking for the savior in an inoculation. I'm a true believer in educating yourself, and I'm a true believer in boosting your immune system, and I'm a true believer in working on the healing internally to practice forgiveness to your partner, practice forgiveness to yourself, and take responsibility for your actions. I'm a true believer in not waiting for something to come and save you when you can save yourself with it, right? You can do the work, you can do the healing, you can do all of this. It's not about, oh, well, I need someone to get the inoculation so that I can be intimate with somebody. No, you don't. You don't need that, right? It's a matter of working on yourself and feeling confident in yourself and finding a partner that loves you through and through, opposed to like, oh, well, I need to get this so that my partner won't get it. That's great. With that being said, when something does come out, that's awesome. That's great, right? This is going to be so helpful. That's great. But I also am still a big advocate on why wait 5 years, 15 years. So that's why I kind of have stayed out of it, because I believe it's something I really can't control, and it's not something I can't control it. I get outbreaks. How often do I get outbreaks? So orally, I have had 5. I've had 5 oral outbreaks since 2003. Not a lot. 5 oral outbreaks since 2003. Down there, I have had a lot. So that is something that I have dealt with very differently, which is very interesting. Why HSV1 oral is not an issue and HSV2 genital is, I do not know why that is in my body. What are some things I contribute it to? I contribute it to being stuck in the fight or flight. I contribute it to being stuck in this trauma mindset. I talk a lot about this. Brain-based wellness is someone that you should absolutely check out. I did a podcast with her. I just did another one with her on Tuesday. So that will be out soon, as well as I have one on Life with Herpes blog. If you go there and check out Elizabeth Kristoff or just type in brain-based, it talks about the nervous system. It is mind-blowing why we are in fight or flight and how that trauma really affects our herpes. So number one, I stay in the trauma. I've been told I'm an Energizer buddy. I just don't sit. I try to take care of myself with nutrition, but I'm also a very active person. So that is why. You just got diagnosed with both type after finding out your boyfriend was cheating on you, and yes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That is such a it's always a form of betrayal when we find out we have herpes, because we feel like, how could somebody betray us and not tell us that we have herpes? So that's number one. But when it's a partner, when it's a boyfriend, when it's a spouse, when it's someone that you are committed to, when there is a monogamous agreement, when there's a commitment, and that is broken, that is the ultimate betrayal. Some things I want us to look at that may help us with our healing. I talked earlier about forgiveness and why that is an important aspect. The forgiveness, if we do not forgive, if we stay in this anger state, it only makes a poisonous cocktail for you. You're only hurting yourself, because the person that you're angry at, he or she's just going to go on with his life, her life, whatever. So that's number one. Number two, when we are going through something, back to that heightened state, the nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze, we're in a fight, flight, or freeze. I'm going to make an assumption that your partner is in a flight mode for whatever reason. He's in a heightened state, doesn't know how to deal with his emotions, doesn't know how to deal with going on. And because he's in a flight situation, he is disassociating with his responsibilities, with who he is. A lot of times when we're in our flight situation, we're not disclosing we have herpes. We're turning to drugs and alcohol to numb our pain. And so a lot of times when people are maybe cheating, it's because they're in that heightened state. So I'm not saying that it is an excusable situation. No, it's not. But it can help you better understand so that you can have compassion for what he is going through, so that you can forgive him, right? It doesn't mean you forget. We don't forget. I'm saying don't. It's like, oh, it's so fine. It's totally fine. No, I'm saying that it is about understanding that this person too is going through something. So forgive this person for what he is going through doesn't mean that it's okay. It's just saying you have to forgive that person. You can take the strength to move on. You can take the strength to be humbled and be strong and all these things and move on and learn who you are going to be through your diagnosis. So hearts, hearts, hearts. Okay. What do you take for your outbreak? So yeah, someone that definitely has had outbreaks, and I've definitely gone through seasons of no outbreaks, seasons of lots of outbreaks. Let's pin the lysine, because that's my first one to talk about. This is what I do. So I have my non-negotiable supplements. I do not mess around with this. Once I discovered them, it truly did a transformation, and it definitely helped me deal with my outbreaks. So before I had discovered them, I was on the antiviral. I was taking the antiviral religiously. And I said I no longer wanted to be on it. I didn't want the side effects of it. I didn't want to be on a prescription medication for the rest of my life. So I first started taking lysine, okay? Lysine is an essential amino acid. It is a protein that helps block the replication of the HSV virus. It blocks arginine. Arginine is like lighter fluid. It's another essential amino acid. It's also important. We do have to consume it, so we can't say like I'm never going to have arginine again, but this helps block the replication of the arginine. So this is something I take daily. And I take it, and when I feel any prodrome, when I feel anything happen, it definitely helps with it. So that's number one. My next thing that I take, I feel like I talk about this daily, but my next thing I take is Monolaurin. So let me change my pin. Boop. Look at that. I take Monolaurin. Monolaurin is lauric acid. It helps dissolve the outer shell of an enveloped virus. When we have an enveloped virus, it means there's a shell around it. It means that our immune system cannot penetrate it. So this also helps with other bacterial infections that we may have. It helps with other viruses, not just the HSV virus. It's an overall immune system support, and it helps dissolve that outer layer so that our immune system can then go in and penetrate it and do its job. So I have Monolaurin. I take this daily as a non-negotiable. And my last non-negotiable is Andrographis. And this is an herbal extract that helps with the immune system and helps immune support. This also was very potent in dealing with the HSV virus. And this is something I do not mess around with as well and take this daily. So I do not run out of these things. If I see that I'm getting low and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get on, I need to order them. So these are all my non-negotiables. They're all linked for you in the store. They are what I take. So this is what I take internally. And then to keep, what do I also do for my outbreaks? What do I take? What do I do? So in 2019, I created the Secret Society Wellness, which is a wellness, it's a wellness company, which I have products that are formulated specifically for people living with herpes. So this one is the Rescue Balm. It sells out every month. On the last live, someone's like, it's my favorite. I love it. It has peppermint, eucalyptus. It's natural. It smells good. I wish you could smell it. Anyways, this is one of them that we use topically. We just have a new one that came out. It is the Herpes Fix-It salve. It has frankincense oil and manuka honey in it. It is very salvy, but it is very amazing. But we just have a ton of products. We have the recovery soaks. We have a lot of products that you can use topically or as a wellness way to help your system, to help calm your nervous system, to help deal with outbreaks, to help with the pain, help with wound repair, help soothe, all of that stuff. If you don't have outbreaks, does that mean that you're still contagious? You can be contagious asymptomatically, which is very frustrating. So it is something you still have to disclose. Even though you're asymptomatic, the virus still sheds just like everything else, every living organism sheds. And that means that, like, I just pulled my hair and I got a hair. It's my hair shedding, right? So the virus still sheds its viral DNA without symptoms. How did I find my husband? He and I were colleagues, and so I met him through work. With you having HSV2, is your husband still negative? My husband is still negative for HSV. I have him get tested roughly like every 6 months, or whenever he has blood work done, I'm always like, throw in the herpes. I want to know. Anyways, he is still negative. I love all the comments, you guys. I love seeing the hearts. I love seeing the shares. Thank you. I see you've had it for 20 years and don't know when you have outbreaks. I would say that maybe you're asymptomatic. Maybe you're not getting it. Symptoms of outbreaks are swollen lymph nodes, flu-like symptoms, achy body. You could be very fatigued. You could have a nerve pain. You could have like a dull pain going through your body. Those could be just some like precursors, like it's a symptom of maybe you're getting an outbreak. As far as an actual outbreak, it can be a paper cut, it can be one blister, it can be a cluster of blisters. So I would say look for those symptoms. I have both 1 and 2, correct? Yay. Someone saying they take clean lysine. Yeah, that's what I take as well. This is the one I take. Since we're talking about lysine, this is the one I take. This is the one that's a non-negotiable for me. Oh, so Lighthearted saying you're taking all the supplements. You're taking Lysine, Monolaurin, Andrographis, immune support. Yay, that's awesome. I'm really glad that helps. Yeah, here's the immune support one. It's linked in my store here. I just kind of usually go over it because that's an overall immune support. And the ones that I talk about are specifically for herpes because I like to just stay specific to herpes, but this is also a really good one, the overall immune support. I think I have it right here. Yeah, here's the immune support. It's going to help with everything going on. It contains lots of things. It has ginseng, echinacea, elderberry, garlic root, green tea, olive leaf, oregano, D, E, C, B, zinc, selenium, lots of good things in here. So yeah, this is also a great one. And I did just pin it for you. So what I just read, like, I don't want to date because I'm young and people my age won't understand. I disagree with that because we were just talking in our support group that like any age is difficult. I had someone saying, I'm in my 30s, like it's my time to settle down. I need to find someone. You know, that was hard for her. Someone in her 20s, she's like, I'm in my 20s. No one understands. No one my age gets it. You're in your 40s. You're like, wait, I'm in my 40s. Like I just maybe went through a divorce. What does this mean? In your 50s, same thing. You're like, who in their 50s gets herpes? Anyways, you can go on and on and on in each decade. It's the time, I believe it's the time you're supposed to learn an amazing lesson and transform your life. I posted on my stories, it was the ego-based mindset and the higher self-based mindset. And when we have an ego-based mindset, we're seeing criticism, we're seeing scarcity, we're seeing all these things. We see things that are wrong. When we have our higher self mindset, we're looking at abundance. We're looking at ways to improve. We're looking at, so anyways, look at this through an abundant mindset. Look at this through a higher self mindset to say, this didn't happen to me. This happened for me. How am I going to go through this? How am I going to transform? You have a 10-month-old. Okay, I have a 3-year-old, so I totally understand where you don't want to spread it. These are my personal choices. So as far as genitally, I don't even worry about that with my little boy because he's not down there, right? Orally, I choose to kiss my child. I choose to be a part of my child's life in any normal way that is possible. You decide what's best for you as a mother. I look at it and say that my son can pick this up at any time in his life from anybody. So why should I inhibit myself from being around my son? Why should I inhibit him saying, Mommy, taste my ice cream. Mommy, have a bite of my bell pepper. Mommy, Mommy, let's have besos. I'm not going to give that up because of this stupid virus. How long do you stay positive? You're positive for the rest of your life, unfortunately. HPV is not the same as herpes. HPV and HSV are two different things. HPV is human papillomavirus. HSV is herpes simplex virus. They are not the same. They don't do the same thing. One is more of like a genital wart. The other is a genital blister. All right, my friends. How do you find a support group or how can someone join yours? So thanks for asking. I have it linked for you. We do have what's called the Secret Society. It is the original support group out there for people living with herpes. I created it in 2017 because there was nobody around talking about it and I wanted people to not be where I was. I didn't want people to feel isolated and alone. So it's the Secret Society. You can join. It's linked for you. You can check it out. I truly feel it is the best thing out there. I wish I had it when I was diagnosed, and so that's why I created it. And trust me, you will be so happy to find your tribe, to find your people. So it's linked for you in there to join. All right, my friends, I will see you all soon. I will talk to you guys later. Wish me luck on my poor finger. All right, have a great day. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye. Let me try that.